all of the real estate that is only used for billionaires, right? That they only come here with, 1/3 of the time or just one day a year just to do their little trade. All of those 3-story apartments in downtown Manhattan, in midtown Manhattan, that mostly remain empty, we should take those over. The working class should take those over, and they should give housing to all of the people. There is an incredible housing crisis, right?
You can't afford to fucking live in this town.
Yeah.
Money that people get is not enough to pay rent.
I don't think New York City survives Mamdani victory. Crime goes up, taxes go up, people leave.
We survived Andrew Cuomo being the governor of this state. We will survive anything, and we are actually going to do more than just survive. We're going to thrive in this city.
Fuck Cuomo. Let's go Zohran. We're going to turn this country socialist. Socialism to me means equity, not equality. Unfortunately, we're not all equal. I come from extreme privilege, and I want everyone to have the same privileges that I have. Shout out Andrew Callahan. Y'all doing great work.
The Democratic Party and its establishment has failed us, not only as young people, but as Americans.
New York is an incredibly wealthy city. It's the wealthiest city on the planet. Why is it that we have homeless people? Why is it that we have people without homes, people that can't afford to pay their rent? It's only because the billionaires, this tiny, tiny minority of society, is leeching all of the wealth.
No.
Yeah!
Let's go Cuomo! Yeah. Let's go Cuomo! We must fight to keep capitalism in our country. Capitalism allows what? Freedom, free enterprise. Mamdani is for control. Government control, which he talks about. He talks about not having private property. He talks about taking back the means of production. He talks about taxing white people more than other kinds of people. Government supermarkets.
Fast and free buses, universal child care, abolish the commodity form, seize the means of production, all that good stuff.
What do you think?
I mean, he's got good policies.
He's hot, he's Muslim, and from everyone I know, I've heard is he's hung like a donkey.
He backs terrorists.
He's a jihadist.
I think there's a lot of Democrats, especially in swing districts, that shy away from issues such as free Palestine or trans health care or things that may seem scary. But in reality, those issues and Zohran not being afraid to back down is what's keeping his volunteer base here.
You know what? Fuck them. You want to do something? You want to stand up? Start riding bicycles. Buy a rabbit, kill it, eat it. You go hunting season, you go get 2-3 deers, you chop it up, you take it to your house, you're great for the whole year. That's how I go against the system.
I don't really know nothing about that. I just play basketball all day. Have a wonderful day, y'all.
You guys want weed?
Hell yeah, I think a little bit of weed.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Channel 5. My name is Andrew Callahan, and this is the first installment of our New York City mayoral election coverage. From a content perspective, we have an action-packed schedule for you guys. From Saddam, live on the streets of Brooklyn, speaking to the people, to the actual infiltration of a private Andrew Cuomo-sponsored young professional luncheon in Manhattan, which, by the way, was hosted by the Cool Girls for Capitalism collective.
I designed the shirt. Shout out to Canva. It says Cool Girls for Capitalism.
I didn't love him when he was governor. I think that he's not handled a lot of things well.
We also have a sit-down interview with the 27-year-old Chi Oss, who is the youngest New York City council member in city history and represents the neighborhoods of Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy. So the Cuomo and Chi Oss segments I just mentioned are hosted by our brave and dedicated social media manager, January 6th participant, John Peter Scatini, aka the homie JP, who's been working behind the scenes at Channel 5 for 4 years, slicing together clips like his life depends on it and keeping the 5 train rolling forward. So shout out to Saddam and JP for their fantastic coverage.
What do you think about Sliwa?
I love Sliwa, yeah.
Oh, please don't be glazing me here, Zohran.
I'm sure some of you guys might be thinking, Andrew, this is great, but why the heck weren't you there? Well, compadre, I was down in Mexico shooting original content with our Canal 5 Latinoamerica street team and documenting the festivities surrounding Mexico's glorious Independence Day. Mira.
¡Viva México!
¡Viva México, cabrones!
¡Viva México, cabrones!
¡Viva México!
Exactamente. Hoy en Feliz Cumpleaños a México. Estamos aquí en Nezahualcóyotl con...
Josué, sí, es una fecha especial. Es 15 de septiembre, son las vísperas del grito de independencia, conmemorando que en 1810 fue el grito de Dolores en Guanajuato, donde Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla se levantó en armas para terminar con el régimen español y convertirnos en un país autónomo.
Los españoles les dimos en la madre, vaya.
México es un país nuevo.
Podría decirse.
¿Y cómo se va?
Pues ahí va.
Feliz cumpleaños a todo este país, un país muy linda. Vamos a hablar con la gente y descubrir qué onda, qué pasa y más importante, qué significa la independencia de México. Vamos. ¿Independencia, sí o no?
Sí.
Sí, sabemos. Ok, gracias.
Jefe, ¿para usted qué significa ser mexicano?
Chingón.
A huevo. Hoy en Noche Mexicana, oficialmente comienza nuestra Noche Mexicana, cabrón.
Hola chicos, están viendo Canal 5 Latinoamérica.
El mejor canal de noticias en todo el mundo. The bilingual synergy did not stop there. We also visited the largest counterfeit shoe market in the country, attended a Lucha Extrema event in a rural junkyard out in the state of Mexico, and traveled to the mountains of Puebla to document the revival of an indigenous language called Nahuatl. Some of this content is available right now on our second channel, Canal 5. Not Channel 5, compa, Canal 5. A totally separate channel, all in Spanish, all new, live right now. So if you want to watch it, hear me talk Spanish, get some Latin American perspectives and beyond, the link for Canal 5 is in the pinned comment in the description box of this video. So if you want to give it a sub, a like, a comment, I would really, really appreciate it. Gracias. All right, back to New York.
Oh, sorry. Hello. What's up? How's it going? Who did you vote for?
Mamdani.
Why?
You know, I hate to say I'm a single issue voter, but I think everything boils down to like an unequal distribution of wealth, and like any candidate that's willing to speak to an ability to make things a little bit more livable for people that are in, you know, the 99.99% of humans, I'm gonna support.
We will make buses free by replacing the revenue that the MTA currently gets from buses. This is revenue that's around $700 million or so. That's less money than Andrew Cuomo gave to Elon Musk in $959 million in tax credits when he was the governor.
He's pretty witty, you know, he puts his words together just like a nice rapper would.
Go ahead, make a rap for your naughty. It's a rap. Get the guap, spend a rack on your naughty.
He understands his linguistic communicating abilities, and he's been around like-minded individuals. I understand why he's so pressed on the concern with our given times today.
Zohran.
Zohran? Yeah, why's that? Why's that?
We need a change. We need something different. Yeah. They always promise us the same old stuff, you know? So we need somebody who could relate, somebody younger, somebody who's willing for change.
I think he's running to make things different, for real. Now everybody's threatened. Because why? Because he's a Muslim.
Now, you know what? I'm not even going to tolerate this. As we all know, the New York skyline was rearranged by jihadists.
It's not just about New York City. It's a battle for the soul of our nation.
This country is about what you are. It's not who you are. It's about what you are.
Mamdani, definitely voting for Mamdani, feel very comfortable voting for him. And it upsets me to see him being framed as a communist, as anti-Semitic. I don't think he's anti-Semitic. He can be pro-Palestinian without being anti-Semitic.
There's hella Jews who are anti-Zionist and who support Zohran, and there's hella New Yorkers who are not crazy, liberal fucking freaks. Whatever the Republican media wants to say, like conservative media, Democratic media. Everybody just wants the best for each other and the people around them, and we want to love each other and just be able to, you know, do our own things in peace.
To understand Zohran's meteoric rise, which was largely carried by social media platforms the establishment calls Gen Z platforms like Instagram and TikTok, it may help to understand the rise of a different New York politician who came before Zohran, using the same tactics.
Okay, we're here. Thank you for your time, for sitting down with us. Could we just start by you telling us your name and your position?
Sure. I'm New York City Council member Chi Oss. I represent the 36th City Council District. That includes Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights and Brooklyn.
Before running for office at 22, Chi Oss developed a following on social media through his coverage of the BLM protests in New York back in 2020.
The Black Lives Matter movement, really brought me into this world by chance. I took to the streets after, the first 48 hours after George Floyd was murdered, and started documenting a lot of what was happening on the ground in the streets of New York City at these protests, and seeing a lot of crazy shit, right? Like police pepper spraying people and hitting people with their cars and knocking people with barricades. And none of this was being documented on, MSNBC and CNN, where we were seeing a lot of looting. And I was just using my iPhone to live stream. There was a lot of Instagram Live back then, and posting on social media, and people were following and watching what I was doing. And I started speaking at some of these protests just about, a lot of the inequities within our city, especially when it came to budget matters, and started organizing with some people on the ground who were sharing some of the same sentiments that I was. I decided to run for city council myself, and ran an extremely grassroots campaign, was 22 years old when I first launched, ran against a 40-year Democratic establishment, utilized very different strategies in running a city council race, and I think we were running it like we thought we were running for president of the United States, and learned a lot in the process and ended up winning and getting elected at 23 years old. So,
and you were the youngest city councilman in the history of the city, right?
Yeah,
That's at least on Wikipedia.
That's what people say. I like to claim that, but there is this one dude, his name is William Rivera. He was a council member up in the Bronx, who I think got elected at 22.
Okay.
But his dad was the council member before him.
Okay.
So I may be the youngest council member without
some
political
family
nepotism.
connection.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll let you claim it. I think.
Cut that shit. Yeah. I'm youngest council member in history.
When did you first meet Zohran?
Oh man, I think I met Zohran at like a New York Working Families Party rally post 2021 election, and I know he recently got elected as a state assembly member, and I didn't really get to know him throughout my run for office. He still is an assembly member, based out of Queens. And at the time of doing that, no one was using video in politics in the way that I was, right?
It's not just your landlord. A literal government board decides how much to jack up your rent. And you know what they decided? They want to raise your rent by as much as 16%. New Yorkers' wages aren't even going up by 16%. But we still have hope. The RGB is responsive to public pressure, which is why we need to show up to the next meeting.
And, I started using TikTok and Instagram Reels to not only organize around the Rent Guidelines Board, but started using it to get people involved in pushing a bill that I got passed called the FAIR Act, which banned forced broker fees in New York City. And it was the first time that an elected official in the city or state was speaking to people directly through these mediums that got them excited, that got them organized, that got them to call their council members, tell them to sign on to the bills, that got people to show up to city council hearings and testify in support of these bills.
Without relying on any of New York's traditional guarded media outlets, Chi was able to draw crowds of thousands of people at a moment's notice, effectively respond to criticism from the press, spread the message, and get people voting with only the power of his phone.
Not relying on local news stations or op-eds that no one reads, right? Having a tool at my disposal where I'm able to change the narrative or combat narratives or create my own narratives through social media and through building an audience through that social media or through those social media platforms was essential in passing this bill. I was pushing this bill that was being contested against by a multi-million-dollar lobbying group. The Real Estate Board of New York, who basically runs a lot of, our politicians and government within the city, really did not want this bill to pass, right? And other council members of the past and state electeds of the past tried to pass bills around this, but were never successful, right? Because of big money, because of the Real Estate Board of New York. And I understood that going into this, right? Whether it was, them trying to threaten my colleagues for signing onto the bill, them trying to, frame their own narrative about how bad this bill would be for other reasons, aside from the fact that they would lose money. But I was given a position and built a platform where I was able to combat all of that through a device in my hands, right? And I was able to out-organize them through narrative, through media, and through how I communicated. And people trusted me. People aided in my efforts in building a public pressure campaign that aided in getting this bill passed. I remember when there was, after I passed the bill and whatnot, I remember when there was talk about, Zohran, running for mayor. And we sat down, I want to say July of 2024. This was, I think, after my hearing with the bill. And then we sat down and he, told me that he was deeply inspired by the social media strategy that my team has, and I have been, doing for a couple years, and, was asking that, well, first and foremost, was telling me about his plan to run for mayor. And at first I was this motherfucker's a little crazy to be it was there was just so many other dynamics at the time. And I think that's what makes this moment so amazing, right? Is that not only did he pull it off, but he really proved to all of us that, this was a campaign to believe in, right? And he was asking for some advice on like just how to navigate that space.
Shortly after the meeting, acting on Chi's advice, Zohran and his digital team of internet-savvy New Yorkers put together a social media campaign that was as effective as it was simple, focusing on one keyword: affordability.
Let's talk about the housing crisis. New York City is a majority tenant town, but too often our government works for the landlords. It's time to take the power back and build housing for the many. Let's get to work.
For context, if you're watching this from, Grand Platte, Nebraska, Manhattan is twice as expensive as any other city in the US. The average rent is $5,450 per month. Comparatively, minimum wage in New York City is around $35,000 per year, before taxes. After taxes, it's about $25,000 per year, which is equivalent to 5.5 months of rent in Manhattan. Of course, not everybody in New York lives in Manhattan, and most people make above minimum wage. But according to a recent Cornell University report, only 30% of New Yorkers make what's called a living wage, which means enough money to cover basic needs on top of housing, like food, healthcare, and transportation. Now, contrast this with the fact that New York has had so-called progressive Democrat mayors in office for the past 12 years.
Because of that, I think people are waking up and seeing that those Democrats who are bought and paid for are not the right leadership that we need to not only oppose fascism and Donald Trump and the right, but show themselves as being a better alternative and bettering our lives and bettering our public institutions.
What do you think of Andrew Cuomo?
He's pathetic. He's full of shit. And yeah, he's gonna lose really big, and I'm really excited to see him lose and never hear from him again.
What are your feelings about Cuomo?
Anyone that's going to vote for someone that has 13 credible counts of sexual harassment is a fool, and anyone that doesn't recognize who is funding his campaign is also a fool.
Well, who's funding his campaign?
Like all of the top Trump donors. Bill Ackman is like a huge sponsor of his campaign. Just people that, again, on purpose live in the shadows because they're voting with money. They're not voting with politics.
Alex Karp of Palantir backed him up, sent some money over to him. And, that's unacceptable, especially with how Alex Karp and Palantir is all typed up in the Trump administration. We can't have that in New York City. We got to go up against that.
I think Cuomo's part of the old guard, and I think we need a big change in the city.
Do you feel like Cuomo's too old, or what?
He's just not it at all.
Cuomo, he had his time, man. He was the governor, now he wants to run for mayor. Why? Why? Because you know why? He misses that power. He misses that authority, because that's what it's about, authority.
Despite the enthusiastic energy given by some people in the streets of Brooklyn, Saddam also noticed a lot of apathy and picked up on a sense of jaded disillusionment as to the possibility of real change in the quality of life.
I don't believe anybody.
Right.
Because they all crooks anyway. They do everything for themselves anyway.
Yeah.
So, blue and white, Yankees all day.
I don't really know nothing about that. I just play basketball all day. That's all I really do. Have a wonderful day, y'all.
Cuomo or Mamdani?
I don't even know, man. I'm not really into that right now.
Oh, all right.
Sorry about that, man.
Cuomo or Mamdani?
Neither one. Everybody's for sale. Everybody's gonna get bought at that title. So no matter what you do, it's always gonna be the same end result.
Yeah, because it's everything's fucked. So we just watched South Park, and it's easier to deal with life that way.
Yeah. Could you ever trust any politician ever for real? Probably not. Everybody just needs to get a little more stoned.
Yeah. Do you guys want weed?
I don't take any side.
You don't take any side?
I don't take any side.
Okay.
Yet beneath the mask of nihilism came several sage tidbits of wisdom.
Pain comes from a lack of understanding. Once you figure out and sit in your feelings and find clarity with the situation that you're going through, your pain will go away because you will start to understand where it's coming from.
You got opportunities here. And if you don't take advantage of that, then I don't know what to tell you, And for all these American people, you want to do something, you want to stand up, buy yourself a bicycle. Everybody, this whole country, start riding bicycles. You get healthy, you breathe better, you save money. On top of that, start growing your own vegetables. Start growing your own fruits. You understand? Buy a rabbit, kill it, eat it. You go hunting season, you go get 2-3 deers, you chop it up, you take it to your house, you're great for the whole year. You don't need cows, you don't need chicken. Right? You don't need eggs. That's how I go against the system. I don't eat eggs. Eggs is $10 a dozen. You know what? I could do without it. So think about it, people. This is how we're gonna fight this country, the politicians, and their decisions on what they wanna do with us. We decide what we wanna do with us. I decide what I do with me. Not the mayor, not the governor, me.
It's important to remember that sometimes, no matter what's going on, whether we're on the brink of nuclear warfare or a natural disaster, a solid fraction of the population is living in their own world at all times, for real. Anyways, as the New York City mayoral race has heated up, we've seen every type of mainstream institution try and influence things one way or another. And depending on which network you watch in the morning, you were either attending a rally for justice or participating in a leftist mob takeover of the streets. That's the thing about how major outlets frame politics right now. Narratives are crafted in boardrooms, far, far away from the people actually living the reality they speak about. And what you're shown on TV or in the newspapers often has more to do with agenda than it does accuracy. So naturally, before me, Saddam, or JP put boots on the ground, we get informed using what you might ask, ground news. For example, the left-leaning CNN headline about the rally reads, Mamdani rallies with Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez as Democrats close ranks around NYC mayoral nominee. Meanwhile, the right-wing New York Post headline reads, NYC rally infuriates locals over last-minute parking ban. Completely unacceptable. Odd thing for a news outlet to be focusing on given the moment, don't you think? But not so odd when you realize it's owned by the Murdoch family. What? Ground news! For all these reasons, I and every single person at Channel 5 uses ground news. They show you stories from across the political spectrum with context like bias, factuality, and of course, ownership. But something that doesn't get enough attention is how many news stories aren't actually news stories at all. That's why ground news shows you numerically how many actual confirmed sources are covering a story. So you can determine if an article is legit or just echo chamber algorithmic nonsense. As I mentioned, ground news also tracks the ownership behind publications. So you can see for yourself who's pushing what narrative and where else they might be doing that. For all these reasons, we trust ground news to help us cut straight through the noise. And right now, you can subscribe for 40% off the unlimited access Vantage plan, bringing the cost down to less than $5 a month. Just scan the QR code here or click the link below to sign up. Supporting ground news helps to support us, which means we can keep making videos like this and giving you guys coverage that isn't watered down or dictated by corporate interests. So check it out, stay informed, and most importantly, don't let the media tell you what to think. All right? Sounds good. Back to New York City. After catching a mosaic of vibes from Brooklynites, Saddam headed to Forest Hills, Queens, to the Zohran, Bernie Sanders, and AOC rally, where he was first met by a local communist outside, slanging newspapers for the people.
I am a communist. Yes, I'm with the Revolutionary Communists of America. I think that a lot of New Yorkers see Zohran as a glimmer of hope in a vast political landscape which is totally barren. The fact that he's, talking about affordability, he's talking about cheaper rent, he's talking about, cheaper rent, cheaper grocery prices, right? I think that is all something that is worth fighting for. The only problem is, how do we actually get that? How do we actually make that happen, right? And what we are here to say is that Zohran should decide who his enemies are and who his friends are. And we think that his enemies are the establishment Democrats, the Democratic Party as a whole, who is going to try to drag him down and prevent him from actually meeting his policies, because cheaper rent means going against the landlords, right? It means going against the interests of quite powerful landlords in the city of New York. It means going against the grocery store capitalists, which have quite a powerful lobby, right? One of the grocery store bosses, he said of Gristedes, right? He said that he was going to pull out of New York City if Zohran won, right? We would say, sure, pull out, and we will take over your grocery stores, right? And we will use them for cheaper groceries, and we will take over the entire food industry, because that's something that can be done if the working class is organized.
And then the working class people will have no place to eat and no place to buy their food. Because the working class people, some of whom get EBT and some who don't, rely upon good grocery stores with good food, with good produce, and not the government that doesn't even know how to run a grocery store. In New York, they haven't run grocery stores. They do have food pantries, but people need proper grocery stores with fresh, good, reliable food for themselves.
Though obviously a minority, the Cuomo supporters who did show up to the Zohran rally to protest were among some of the most vocal.
Andrew Cuomo is a lifelong New Yorker. He grew up in Queens, just a couple of miles from here. On a nice day, you could walk there. He's an experienced, knowledgeable person who has brought good programs and good architecture projects into the city and into the state. LaGuardia Airport, different bridges, the train station, and other things also over the years. So no, he is not a perfect person, and neither am I. Neither is anybody. But we have choices of who is on the ballot. And Mamdani has no background, no experience, no knowledge, and he keeps doing things to incite, to get different groups to be fighting one another. And I'm Jewish. Even if I wasn't Jewish, I would feel this way. He is inciting. And if you call him on any of those things, he says, oh, it's an Islamophobia. Everybody is afraid of the Muslims or doesn't like Muslims. And Cuomo believes in bringing everyone together. I was just at a rally, and that's what he spoke about.
Black, white, brown, public unions, private unions, middle class, all together, fighting for fairness and justice and the values that this country represents.
Has Mamdani ever even worked in a supermarket, let alone run a supermarket? He doesn't know the first thing about food distribution, keeping fresh food on the shelves, managing the supermarket. There's a lot involved because we're dealing with public health. And what's the underlying assumption with all residential real estate? I used to be a real estate accountant. That's why I'm just not speaking off the top of my head here. Is that the tenants pay the expenses in the building, but the cost of everything are going up. The utilities, the maintenance, the staff. We cannot just have a rent freeze because what happens when the rent is too low, the maintenance in the building.
Can I get a word in?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that what we are seeing in the city is a rent crisis beyond any scale. I mean, rent has been going up year after year after year. And yeah, it is incredibly unaffordable, right? And I think that actually I would support a rent freeze, right? What I would support even more is capping at rent at 10%. This lady, she's saying that she's worked in real estate. Then you might know that there is a tremendous amount of real estate that is totally empty in the city. The amount of commercial real estate in downtown New York is tremendous.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. Let's go, Cuomo. Yeah. Let's go, Cuomo.
I'm only supporting Cuomo because Sliwa can't win.
I respect him, but 13 is an interesting number.
I'm here as a pro-Israel anti-socialist protesting Mamdani and his cohorts who have come to my neighborhood to spew their nonsense about socialism and anti-Zionism.
He's a jihadist.
Well, he certainly won't denounce the jihadists. That's for sure.
Shithole, just from the place he came from, a freaking shithole, and he wants to spread his socialism, communism, jihadists.
Do you think people will leave if Mamdani wins?
You know what? A lot of people have a lot of money invested here. We'll survive him. We survived de Blasio. We'll survive, right? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but we'll survive. We're not running. We don't run. We don't run. We're not running. Jews don't run.
All the taxes that he expects to collect to pay for all his free
IDF! 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 IDF!
After catching some of the worst vibes imaginable, Saddam decided it was time to go inside to the rally and see what's up.
I would define socialism with community. I think socialism is actually caring about the community you live in and are involved with. So when I hear Zohran actually express the values of socialism, they actually sound helpful. They sound communal. It's like, do we want to all survive and live in this together healthily or not?
You know, it's too expensive to live.
I think the Democratic Party has a bit of an identity crisis, and the younger generation is speaking up as loudly as it knows how to. And if the older generation isn't listening, we're going to have a problem. And the thing is, like, if they actually want our vote, which, by the way, they do, they need it, then they got to listen to it, man. And we're speaking for AOC, we're speaking for Zohran, we're speaking with Bernie. And yeah, man, I think partnership, it lies with this. I think Zohran represents a big change.
Yeah, he's not afraid to embrace tough issues like Israel-Palestine. He was quick to say it's a genocide, it's apartheid, in a way, in a time that, like, people were not willing to face that sort of criticism about Israel.
And I also think public safety is a really big one, but I think so many communities, no matter where you go, like I was talking to a friend in Jamaica and a friend in Pelham Parkway in the Bronx, and we all talked about public safety. And I think so many people think, you know, more police, but in fact, there's so many mental health issues, and I think the Department of Community Safety would be absolutely life-changing to addressing those issues, and it would be a platform and a program that would also be sensitive to LGBTQ people, BIPOC people, and communities that are often left out of decisions.
And I think the Mamdani campaign is, you know, in a similar vein, standing up for the things that Democrats have always said they believe in, but that we have to be, you know, stronger and fight harder for.
What you cannot replicate is authenticity and personality, and I think that's something that you can see through how someone communicates online a lot of the time. In addition to that, the values really matter, right? Like, I think what makes, you know, Zohran successful in that form of media is that not only is he reaching and speaking the language of the internet, right? He's speaking to an audience that wants to hear and wants to see a politician fighting for affordability, right? Wants to hear a politician speaking about how rents are skyrocketing and what they'll do about it, right? Not every politician can do that, right? You can do the videos, but some of you can't speak about what you're going to do to solve the problems that people within those spaces are very passionate about. And I think that authenticity and values systems are lacking in maybe some of the replications that we do see other electeds attempt to do online.
I know there's Hakeem Jeffries, there's Chuck Schumer, there's all these guys, but if they're not tapping into the culture, then they're missing the point. Vote for Zohran. New York City is not for sale, baby. Come on.
Welcome. Join us. You know, the water is warm. We won't even make you change your sex. You could just show up and we can make things cheaper and better and less corrupt.
I have been supporting Zohran since the beginning of the campaign. I believe that he is the mayor we need to actually, you know, make sure that the labor movement has a secure place and a secure standing to rebuild in New York, continue building in New York, and take it to people like Jeff Bezos, who are every single day keeping their foot on the necks of Amazon workers across the country. You know, a year ago, I was arrested on a picket line by when Amazon tried to you know, interfere with what was happening on the picket line. They arrested me, a bunch of other Teamster leaders, and the reality is people didn't do anything to stop that. And Zohran is he's been an ally for labor unions across the city. I think he'll continue to be, and I hope that in the future we'll see some real success with him as an ally.
And Zohran seems separate from a Democratic, like, establishment platform. He seems like his own guy.
I mean, everything he's done has displayed that he's been pro-worker, from the fact that he was on hunger strike with the taxi drivers to many things beyond that. I just want to be very clear. I'm not here as a representative of the union. I'm speaking as a volunteer.
I think Zohran's run, his primary win, and, you know, hopefully this general election win will show, you know, the party that people crave these ideals, right? These democratic socialist ideals. They want someone who is going to fight to make their lives more affordable and is able to do it because they are unbought and unbossed, right? There is millions, tens of millions of dollars spent against Zohran to try to beat him in the primary, and he won by 12 points, right? Because people are starting to see past this old way of doing politics. They're craving this new wave of democratic socialist electeds who, again, are standing on business for some of the things that they're fighting for because they are not, you know, owned by these corporations. And whether it's Medicare for all, you know, a Green New Deal with 100% union jobs, whether it's an arms embargo to Israel and ending the genocide in Gaza, and what the DSA is doing is showing that there is a better alternative.
What do you think of Curtis Sliwa?
I love how much of a hater he is, and he's a true New Yorker, and how he bashes Andrew Cuomo is artistic and incredible.
No, Sliwa's a G. Listen, I would never vote for him, but if I could grab a beer with Sliwa just to hear stories, I'd listen to every single one of them, man. But I can't believe he's on that stage, bro. Yeah.
I fuck with him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, if I could go on a road trip and be like, tell me about your life, man, most entertaining trip of my life, swear to God.
All of a sudden, some gorilla pops up in front of me who had been stuffed under the dashboard. He's popping a 38 right down at my three-piece set, my lower extremities, not the knife, spoon, and fork. And all of a sudden, he says, "Take this, you son of a bitch!" Boom! And he fires.
Curtis Sliwa, Donald Trump, Eric Adams, these are three men who should not have been in politics and should have been on reality TV. They need to be on Bravo.
Yeah,
you know what
Curtis
I mean?
could drop into a Bravo show tomorrow.
We were unfortunately put in the wrong timeline to get some of those folks to think that they should run for office, but like I just needed them to just be messy queens on TV.
I wonder.
And like guests on the Wendy Williams show.
How do you feel about Cuomo?
You understand?
Man, I feel like Cuomo is your standard politician. He's a man in a suit that's caring about green more than he's caring about us. So Cuomo isn't special to me. He isn't different to me. I feel like we've seen thousands of him if we've been watching. So yeah, I wouldn't vote for him if my life depended on it.
Yeah, what an embarrassing individual, failed leader, disgraced governor.
I just think, he's basically been in office my entire life. I'm 26 years old, and I think that even if, like, when I do debate people, I'm like, we've already seen him, and we've already seen how he runs the government. We've seen, the 6 train getting messed up on weekends because he cut funding to the MTA, and we've seen, New York's leadership go in complete crisis, and we've seen even with this campaign, him use ChatGPT for his ads.
I think that he has a lot of great experience cutting social programs, harassing women, and taking bribes. So, I'm a little worried that Zohran doesn't have as much experience in those fields. But I don't know. I feel like Cuomo probably smells like aqua velvet and like leather polish. And I don't know, he just makes me feel very uncomfortable. It feels like one of your dad's friends just like talks a little too close, and it's just like a little too handsy with everyone.
As New Yorkers, when we can tell when someone's 10 toes and when they're not. That's it.
What we've had so far sucks.
What are your thoughts on Cuomo?
Sucks. What can I say? He comes from a family of politicians. After a while, you start stinking.
Zohran represents something different in a way that I think maybe for many people Trump did too.
MAGA has understood this for the last 10, 15 years. You have cool music, you have food, everyone's welcome. Like, the only thing we're going to talk about is how to make your life better, right? Like, there's no, check at the gate. And I think that these progressives finally get it, and they know how to message it, right? There's hey, you know how your life kind of sucks right now? What if we made it suck less? And I think that's a powerful message. And I think these guys actually believe it, unlike the MAGA people who have been saying that and blaming trans immigrant basketball players.
What brings you out here today?
I don't know. I just kind of found myself. I'm a big fan of visiting stadiums all around the country. It seems like a very chill vibe here.
Yeah.
And they just kind of let me in. I don't know. Hell yeah, of course. Fuck yeah. Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT. Of course, they'll still say, oh, it's New York, it's woke and gay. That's why they want universal child care as opposed to Arkansas, I guess. But it'll work everywhere. It works here, it works everywhere.
What are your thoughts on Cuomo?
What can I say about Andrew Cuomo? He's a disgrace. And he's not a big fan of mine either, so.
Has he talked shit about you?
Quite a bit.
Oh, yeah?
Especially this past week, he's been bringing my name up virtually every day.
The assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11.
I find the comments that Hassan made on 9/11 to be objectionable and reprehensible.
Cuomo is throwing out mailers, or the Cuomo campaign is throwing out mailers. I think it's a sign that his campaign is failing so spectacularly, because New Yorkers, majority of New York voters, they don't know who the fuck I am. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know who I am, and the ones that do are here, and they obviously like me.
Yo, you saw Hasanabi earlier? Because I think he was there.
Oh, yeah, I chopped it up with him.
Yo, we chopped it up with him? Yo, type shit, that's dope.
Yeah, he's cool.
So I don't think a single New Yorker is going to be like, yeah, this was a real big misstep for Zohran.
Yeah.
I wanted fast and free buses, but he did a podcast with a guy? He did a Twitch stream with a guy? Nah, not for me. It's cancel culture bullshit, which is crazy because he's the right-wing candidate.
Yeah.
You know?
What about cancel culture in general?
I mean, cancel culture in general sucks. It's not great, but everybody does it. Everybody utilizes it. Everybody leans into it.
I think everyone's getting, fucking over that shit.
they're so over it. I kind of want to bring it back a little bit. Like I think we went a little too far on the other side. Everyone is just like promoting Adolf Hitler.
Oh
on the timeline. Where
social
I'm like,
media is insane now.
Maybe we should bring back some woke culture. Like maybe not all the cancel culture, but like we need to bring woke back a little bit.
What do you think started that shift?
Elon bought Twitter. And then said, I love neo-Nazis and we should have them fucking do whatever they want on the platform. I mean, he openly did it.
Yeah, yo, it's crazy seeing y'all out here. This is like New York City, bro. Yo, it's lit.
What lessons do you think that the Democratic Party and people running for office around the country can take from the success of Zohran's campaign?
Yeah, I mean, I think the authenticity, not only in terms of values, but in terms of believing in what you stand for while not being tied to, again, the same financial institutions that are harming the lives of working people, right? The Democratic Party needs to let go of, of AIPAC, of BlackRock, of Lockheed Martin, of the same the same financial institutions that are electing, Republicans who, are dismantling our democracy.
I think people are fed up. They realize that the situation is untenable. There's no hope for the younger generations out there. They feel like they can't pay rent. They feel like they'll never be able to own a home. They feel like they'll never be able to retire at a reasonable age. And everything is increasingly more dog shit year over year. So people arrive at that position not because of people like myself or whatever leading them into that position, but they arrive at that position on their own because they're like, well, okay, there's got to be an alternative out there because this shit doesn't fucking work.
New York is not for sale.
It would be great to have a mayor who is really about the people. And it sounds cliche to say, but it's really hard to get elected as a mayor off of the backs of people and not corporations and not big money. And Zohran was able to do that. So to have someone who is untethered to the very powers that make life difficult in the city is what I'm most looking forward to, and showing the country how a democratic socialist leads, how a leftist leads, and how a progressive leads, right? In comparison to a moderate mayor. So I'm looking forward to seeing a human-centered way of governing and being one of the most powerful people in the city. And Zohran's a good person and has gotten here through the power of movement strength and co-governance. And that's unlike many of the people who have led this city or have ever led this city. And I'm really excited about that.
What do you think about maybe cutting back from eggs and then maybe like hunting deer or killing rabbits?
Yo, bro, that ain't, it's like just out in the city, it just isn't practical. We ain't hunting rats and shit, We know what's going on with that,
Big Zo right there.
Big Zo.
I got a Make sure to go vote. November 24th.
Yeah.
As Saddam wrapped up at the Zohran rally, JP was just gearing up for something big. As I mentioned early on, he infiltrated an Andrew Cuomo-hosted young professional mixer at an undisclosed location in Manhattan. What Andrew Cuomo didn't know is that a group called Climate Defiance, known for their confrontational antics, had already planned to disrupt the young professional mixer. But JP knew about everything. He knew about the mixer, he knew about the disruption, and he got both sides of the story. Channel 5. Ground news style, both sides. Anyways, JP talked to Cuomo, to the Cool Girls for Capitalism, and to some climate defiance disruptors. If you want to see all this right now, I got news for you, buddy. It is currently live on our Patreon at www.patreon.com/channel5. If I had it my way, it'd be free for everybody, but listen, we're an independent, primarily crowdfunded, grassroots, fucking news organization, and we need a Patreon to survive. And on Patreon, to keep things afloat, we post a variety of exclusive, uncensored, and early content. Like I said, we're almost entirely crowdfunded, no institutional backing, kind of like Zohran but with less money. For that reason, we are constantly being sued and attacked by douchebags, which we can fight against thanks to you guys and your $5 monthly subscriptions. It's you guys that keep Channel 5 alive. I'm just a guy with a microphone and a couple abilities, but then again, I can't change a tire. I have a hard time shaving, and it's you guys that keep Channel 5 in business. So again, if you want to support us and see the exclusive new documentary, Andrew Cuomo Young Professional Mixer, go to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/channel5. Much like Canal 5 and Ground News, the link is going to be in the pinned comment and the description of this video. Have a fantastic day.
Channel 5 live worldwide, Hollywood and Vine.
Fuck the authority, Channel 5 News.
Channel 55. We don't fuck with custers. And 5 is the best number.